Who's going to win, baby? The Shaman's got 12% of his health left. Who's going to win? Oh, he died to the Shadow Priest. Rip. Oh, my God. I can't play Shaman anymore. Yikes. What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. We're going to talk about, I think, the last build that I'm going to look at for Enhancement Shaman in 10.1. We're going to look at the current best performing build. These guys are still duking it out on the market right now, which is, of course, the Elementalist build, which includes your Frost Shock and Hailstorm buff going on there with Ice Strike, and then your Elemental Wolves, all the fire stuff. That's about it, right? So, interestingly enough, this week, anyway, nobody's running LE Blast, and it's kind of tough to run LE Blast. You'd have to drop Wind Fury Totem and then probably 1 point in Elemental Weapons. But realistically, you're not going to want to do that. So next week we'll have to see. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure what you would pivot on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Because you can't get rid of Wind Fury Weapon anymore. Because you need it to buff Elemental Weapons, which says each active weapon imbue increases all Fire, Frost, Nature damage. So they kind of want you to have both weapon imbues now, right? So, I don't know. Anyway, the point is, this is the build that you're kind of looking at on live. This is the most popular build that I was looking at Sub Creation, and it's the most popular build for Enhancement Shaman right now. How does it fit into the 10.1 ecosystem, the new tier set bonus, all that jazz? Well, let's look at it. What does the tier set bonus do for the Frost Shock build, the Hailstorm build? Sundering increases your mastery by 24%. That's frost damage, but that's where it ends. Because also Sundering, of course, increases your physical and fire damage by 20% each, and then causes your next two Chain Lightnings to deal double damage and refund Maelstrom. But really, the only buff to your Frost Shocks is coming from that initial slam from Sundering. You get 15 seconds of Giga boosted mastery. 24% mastery is pretty good. That's just straight up 24% more frost damage, right? So, of course, if you've got your wolves going as well, and you have a couple frost wolves, then you're getting a lot of extra damage. I did a couple of tests, and one of them here was about, 180, 185k overall sustained damage. And look at our Frost Shock, of course, is super duper high there. Chain Lightning, Frost Shock, that's kind of what you expect. Trying to cast Frost Shock after every single spender to get the Hailstorm buff. If you guys don't really know how this build works, let me run down really quickly for you. You're basically doing a lot of fire damage, and you're building Maelstrom weapon stacks, and you're consuming them with Chain Lightning, of course, to get big damage. After every spender, you need to use a Frost Shock because of Hailstorm, right? Each stack of Maelstrom weapon consumed increases the damage of your Frost Shock, causes it to cleave up to 5 enemies, right? So, and then, of course, that gives you a bunch of Maelstrom weapon stacks as well, which cools down your dogs. It all kind of works together, yada, yada, yada. So Frost Shock ends up being 18 to 20% of your damage if you're playing it correctly, which is pretty great, and that's just kind of how the build runs. Lots of fire damage, lots of frost damage. You're still getting lots of nature damage as well, which is of course good for the tier set bonus because you're getting that mastery. The only thing you're not really benefiting here from is that physical damage increase. That's all you're really missing because, I mean, Sundering does benefit, but you're not running Fire Nova. Fire Nova is Flame Strike damage now, so you're not getting any benefit there. But you are getting fire damage, nature damage, frost damage from the mastery bonus, and then you're also getting the 20% fire damage to things like your Flame Shock and your Lava Lash. And the Flame Shock is so high because, again, we are running Lashing Flames. So if this is probably the busiest build that you can run on Enhancement Shaman. I think it's the highest performing build, but it's also the busiest build. You have to be casting those Frost Shocks after every spender. You want to try and buff your Frost Shocks with an Ice Strike because it doubles the damage of that Frost Shock. You want to be tab targeting through enemies to get your Lashing Flames buff on everything. You have to remember to do your Primordial Wave, get the Lightning Bolt cleave going. There's just like a lot going on with the build, and I think sometimes that's discouraging to people. I want to be really clear. I think a lot of the builds that I've been testing, because of the different emphasis with the tier set bonus, because it has this physical and fire damage emphasis going on, there are a lot of builds I think you can choose from going into 10.1. But we're going to see how is the highest performing build doing right now in 10.1. The TLDR is that it's going to be just fine. I think it's going to be just fine, but it's just, I think all the other builds, like if the Ice Strike build was like up here and the other builds were like down here, because of the new tier set bonus emphasis on fire and physical damage, I feel like they've all gone up to like here now. kind of together, if that makes sense. So here, let me show you a little test here. Sorry it's so loud. We're going to go dogs first into Primordial Wave. And then before we spread it around, we want to get our Sundering buff online. We want to get the tier set bonus buff going right away. So we're going to go Wolves into Primordial Wave. Here we go. Wolves, Primordial Wave. And then we go Sundering. We spread it around. Chain Lightning. We're going to do an Ice Strike into a Frost Strike. Oh, I forgot to do my Lightning Bolt. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Lightning Bolt. We're going fast. Giga fast. Here we go. We're going to tab target through enemies with our Lava Lash to make sure that we get the Lashing Flames debuff going. And I'm doing Ice Strike as well. I'm trying to get Ice Strike as much as I possibly can, but I also, not Ice Strike, sorry, Frost Shock after every spender, but I want to Ice Strike to make it do double damage. Very important there. Boom, big Chain Lightning. There we go. We're basically almost never pressing Storm Strike. It's kind of our filler, right? Storm Strike becomes your filler. Ice Strike's doing lots of damage. Our Sundering buff's almost back, so here we go. Sundering into a Lava Lash. Our dogs are up. Dogs. Primordial Wave. Lightning Bolt. Big haste window with our Sundering buff. This is what you want. You get the big Sundering buff, the big haste window, tons of Frost Shock damage. You can see we're at about 230k sustained. 225 right now. It's pretty good. This is only on 5 targets. This damage is kind of capped at 5 targets, right? Because your Frost Shock will only be hitting 5 targets. But it's still pretty good. This is probably the least, the build that has the least, like, uncapped AoE. It doesn't really have any uncapped AoE, if I'm honest. So, one more Chain Lightning. Here we go. Sundering again. We're back into our big buff. Boom. Wolves. So, we're getting big Mastery bonus right now, of course, with our when Sundering comes out. Big Primordial Wave into a big Lightning Bolt. Haste window. Go, 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 go. We're going to Ice Strike here. Back to another big Frost Shock. Another Chain Lightning. Sorry, it's lagging a bit. Just the way the servers are right now. And you can see that's kind of how it ends. So we're a little bit below 200k, but realistically, this is going to stay at like 200k, 210k sort of sustained. And your limit in terms of your number of targets is about 5 or 6. You can get 6 Flame Shocks out, of course. But realistically, with all the damage profile that's coming through with the Hailstorm, you're looking at about a 5 target cap there. But here's the damage. It's looking fine. It's totally fine. And again, the only thing you're really missing out on for the Elementalist Frost Shock build is the physical damage buff, because you're doing a lot of fire damage and you're doing a lot of frost damage. Mastery is getting a benefit, and even the extra 20% fire damage from the 4-piece is also kicking in, giving you Lava Lash damage, as you can see here, and Flame Shock damage is huge. So very good. You can see all of our damage right here is all elemental damage. Nature, frost, fire, nature, fire, nature, right? Bit of both. So really, really good stuff there. This build is going to be perfectly fine, I think, moving into 10.1. I don't think you're going to have any problems at all. We'll have to see kind of how the dungeons play out. If there's some dungeons that are more like Algathar Academy or Nockhood Offensive, then with like big packs of like 6 to 7 to 8 to 10 mobs, then I think the other builds will be much better. The physical builds in particular have a lot of sort of uncapped AoE because they have more of an emphasis on Crash Lightning. Crash Lightning hits all enemies in front of you. Yes, it does reduce damage beyond 6 targets, but it still hits all enemies. And all the splash damage that you do afterwards with your Storm Strikes, with your Crash Lightning, that all does uncapped AoE damage as well. It is reduced, but you see what I'm saying? It just has the potential to hit so many more targets. Fire Nova has a chance to hit, 6 different Flame Shocks, all detonating a Fire Nova. Each one of those Fire Novas can hit 6 targets. You can get 36 hits of Fire Nova. It's just a lot more AoE damage, so it depends on the dungeon layout, I think. We'll have to sort of determine where this build comes down and where it lands at the end of the day. But it's going to be fine. This build's going to be perfectly fine. It is right up there with the other builds in terms of its damage profile. Lots and lots of damage here. So I wouldn't be, if you like this build and you want to play it more, I would not worry about it whatsoever. It's going to be perfectly fine for you. So there you go, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about the Enhancement Shaman builds, any of the builds that I've talked about here, but in particular the Elementalist Frost Shock focus build with Hailstorm. What do you think about this build? Do you think it's, do you like it? Are you sick of it? If you're sick of it, are you going to try a different build, or do you want to just stick with this tried and true build? Do you think it's going to be the best one moving into 10.1 with the new tier set bonus? I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching, guys. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.